So in this video, we are going to learn about bipartite graphs. Now what is the definition of bipartite graphs? A graph that can be colored using exactly two colors. Yes, a graph that can be colored using exactly two colors such that no two adjacent nodes have same color. That is the definition of bipartite graph. Let's understand. So assume there are two colors, blue and green for that reason. Okay. So imagine I color this guy as blue. Okay. Now I have to color this guy with green because none of the two adjacent nodes can have same color. Now this one will be colored with blue definitely because none of the two can have same adjacent colors. This one with green, this one with blue, this one with green, this one with blue, this one with green. So this is green, so this has to be colored with blue and this has to be colored with green. So you can see I can possibly color this graph using two colors, blue or green or any other, but it should be exactly two colors such that no two adjacent node. You can take any two adjacent node, take any two adjacent node, take any two adjacent node. None of the two adjacent nodes have same color. So I can say such a graph as bipartite graph. Now when can I say that graph is not bipartite? So for an example, let's take this graph. Okay, so I'm taking this graph. Now when can I say that a graph is not bipartite? So let's take the second graph G2 as an example and let's try to color this. So if I color this with blue, this will be green, this will be blue, this will be green, this will be blue, this will definitely be green. But if this is green, this has to be blue and this has to be green. So I can see it's practically not possible to color a graph with two different colors such that none of the two adjacent nodes have same color, because you can see I was trying to color with two different colors, but at the end these two guys ended up having same color. So it's not possible for this graph G2, and I can say this is definitely not a bipartite graph. So let's check out some observation. What is the cycle length over here? The cycle length over here is 6, which is even. What is the cycle length over here? The cycle length is 5, which is odd. So I can see an observation that any cycle, any graph that has an odd length cycle cannot be a bipartite. And there is one more observation. A graph which doesn't have an odd length cycle, very, very important. A graph which doesn't have an odd length cycle, it is not necessary that it should have an even length cycle, because a graph, this is also a graph, right? This is also a graph. You can color this. You can definitely color this with two different colors. So I can say, since I can definitely color this with two different colors, this is for sure a bipartite graph. So the definition in observation I can see is, if a graph has an odd length cycle, it's not a bipartite, and if it doesn't have any odd length cycle, it is a bipartite. It doesn't means that it has to have a even length. Without even length also it can be a bipartite in this graph G3. So the definition is very plain and simple. If it has an odd length cycle, it's not a bipartite. If it doesn't have an odd length cycle, it's a bipartite graph. As simple as that. So if you want to know the bookish definition of bipartite graph, you're more than welcome to go across this article of GFG and you'll find the bookish definition of bipartite. But I have given you a much more simpler definition, and that is what a bipartite is. So how will you check if a graph is bipartite or not? So there are a couple of ways. One of the ways is you can use the BFS algorithm, or else you can use the DFS algorithm. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you about the DFS algorithm. I have already made a video on the BFS algorithm, so you can check that out if you want to know how to use BFS algorithm in order to check if a graph is bipartite or not. So as of now, I'm going to tell you about how to do that, how to do this check using the DFS algorithm. Okay, so basically let's consider this graph. So what I'm assuming is this graph has a single component, so the DFS is gonna run for a single time. And you know, if the graph has multiple components, you're just simply gonna iterate a for loop. I have already taught you that while doing the DFS traversal as well as while in the cycle check. So over here, I'm just gonna tell you about one component, and while coding, I'm gonna show you how to implement for multiple components. Okay, so let's assume this is a graph with single component, right? So what DFS does is it takes a color array instead of a visited array. Yes, this time we are going to take a color array. We will not be taking a visited array, correct? So once you have taken the color array, what we will do is we will start the DFS from the first node, correct? So let's start the DFS from the first node. So whenever you start the DFS from the first node, you have a color array that is initially initialized to -1. So the DFS starts. So the recursion call has been started. So you are starting with a node which is colored with -1. So whenever in your traversal you get a node which is colored with -1, you will color that with 1 or 0, whatever is your choice. So I color that with node 1. Now for 1, I've colored it with the color 1. So 1 now traverses for all its adjacent node. Which is the adjacent node that 1 has? It's 2. So before calling the DFS, yes, before calling the DFS, what you do is you color this 2 with exactly the opposite color that 1 has, because you know adjacent nodes should have opposite colors. So what you do is you color it with exactly the opposite color, and right after that you call the DFS for the adjacent node 2, right? Right. So you have colored this with 0. Now 2, who are the adjacent nodes of 2? You can say one of the adjacent nodes is 1. The first adjacent node of 2 is 1. So you go to 1 and you say that, are you having the same color with 2? And it says that both of them do not have the same color. So you will say that, okay, fine, it's okay. Now you check out for the next adjacent node of 2. That's 3. So when you check out the next adjacent node 3, what you do is, it is not colored. It's -1. So you color it with exactly the opposite color of 2. That's 1. So color it. And after that, you call the DFS function. Very good. After that, call the DFS function. Okay. So you've called the DFS function. Now 3 checks its adjacent nodes. Adjacent nodes for 3 are 2. It's having an opposite color, so it's fine. The other adjacent node is 4, which is not colored. So please make sure you color it with a color opposite to 3. So that's colored with 0 color. So make sure you color it with 0. And once you have colored it, call the DFS. Yes, call the DFS for the node 4. So I've called the DFS. Now when you go to the 4 checks its adjacent node. One of the adjacent is 3 for 4. It is having the opposite color. So it's absolutely fine. And the other adjacent node is 5, which has not been colored. So color it with the opposite color. So you color that with the opposite color. And once you have colored it with the opposite color, what you do is you move on. Yes, you move on to the DFS of 5. So let's call the DFS of 5. Now when you come to 5, 5 has 4, 7, 6 as the adjacent nodes. 4 is already having the opposite color. So it's fine. Now among 6 and 7, first let's travel for 7. So before traveling for 7, it's very important you color it with the adjacent color. So I've colored that with the adjacent color. So 7 has been colored, and now it's time to go for the DFS of 7. 6 can wait. 6 can wait. Now you go to 7. Now 7 will check its adjacent node. That's 5 as well as 8, right? Both of them are adjacent. So 5 is already having the opposite color. So it's okay. 7 sees 8. So 8 is not colored. So it will color it with the exact opposite color. So I color it. Now after that, I will call the DFS for 8. Now when I call the DFS for 8, understand this point. 8 sees the adjacent is 7, and that's already having the opposite color, right? And it's already colored. Does 8 have any other adjacent nodes which have not been colored? No. So I can say the DFS call has been completed for 8, and whenever it is completed, it will return a true. So this is also going to return a true. So from here, I did not get a false. Yes, from here, I did not get a false. From 5, I went to 7, but the 6 was left. So now I will go to 6. So let's color this with the opposite color, right? And now let's go to the DFS of 6. Now when you go to the DFS of 6, 6 looks out for its adjacent. For 6, 5 is its adjacent, and 5 is already having an opposite color. But for 6, the other adjacent 2 is not having the opposite color. Hence, I can say this is bipartite. Why? Because you were maintaining the order of coloring it with the opposite color, opposite color, opposite color. And at the end, you saw that it was not possible. You kept on coloring opposites. But at the end, at this junction, you can see that both of them have same color. And if both of the adjacent nodes have same color, it is definitely not a bipartite graph. And if it is not a bipartite graph, you return a false. So you saw that 7 call returned a true. And you did not find a bipartiteness in this direction. But in this direction, there was a case where bipartiteness is not satisfied. So you return it false. So if this guy gets a single false, he will return a false. Now 4 got a false. So he is definitely going to return false. 3 got a false. He is definitely going to return a false. 2 got a false. So he's definitely going to return a false. 1 got a false. So he's definitely going to return a false. Now since one of them got a false, I returned false, and I'm saying that this graph cannot be a bipartite graph, right? So this is how you check for a graph. Is it bipartite or not? Now, how to check? This graph was a classic example of not being a bipartite. Now let's do a classic example of a graph being bipartite. So let's check this graph out, which is actually a bipartite graph. In the previous example, we figured out how to check if a graph is not bipartite. Over here, we will see that this graph will come out to be bipartite. Now, as you know that we will start from this source node. So let's start the DFS from the node 1. Now, when you're starting the DFS from the node 1, you can definitely see that the node 1 is not colored. So please make sure you color it with 1 or 0. Now this is the starting node. Doesn't matter what you color it. What matters is the next adjacent nodes should be of opposite color, right? DFS1 is colored with a 1. Now you go inside. What are the adjacent nodes of a 1? It's 2. So before going to that adjacent node 2, because that's not colored, you have to color that with the exact opposite color. So you made sure that it is colored with the exact opposite color. And once it is done, after that you can definitely call the DFS. Okay. So I call the DFS for 2. Now 2 goes and sees what are the adjacent node. 1, that's opposite colored. 3. So you color that with the opposite color. And once you have colored that with the opposite color, you will move to the DFS 3, right? Now when you go to 3, 3 will check its adjacent. 2, it is having the exact opposite color. Fine. 3, the other one is 4, which is not colored. So it colors it with 0, right? You have colored it. Now it's time to call the DFS for 4. Now when you go for 4, 4 tries to check for its adjacent. 3, it's having opposite color. 5 doesn't have an opposite color. So what you do is you go to 5 and you color that with 1. So color it with 1 and now go to 5 with the help of DFS traverse. Now when you go to 5, the adjacent node of 5 is 2. It's having an opposite color. Absolutely fine. One of the adjacent nodes is having opposite color. But over here 6 is not colored. So what you'll do is you'll color it with the exact opposite color of 5. And after that you'll call a DFS for 6. Now when you go for the DFS of 6, 6 checks its adjacent node. That's 5. That's oppositely colored. Absolutely fine. So 6 doesn't find any other node that is not colored. So I can say I have completed the traversal in the direction of 6. So I can return. And I did not find any two adjacent nodes which are having same color. So I can return a true. So this will return a true. So this is definitely going to return a true. This is definitely going to return a true. This is definitely going to return a true. And this will return a true, saying that I am bipartite, right? If none of the DFS call returns a false, I can definitely say it's a bipartite graph. So this is how you're going to check for a bipartiteness of a graph. Now what is the time complexity? The time complexity will be the similar to what DFS takes. It's going to be n plus e. What about the space complexity? We're definitely using a big O of n plus e in order to store the graph. We're definitely using a big O of n for the color array, and we're definitely using a big O of n for the auxiliary space of the recursion, right? That's a lot of time people don't take that into consideration, but you have to. So that's the overall time complexity and the space complexity. Now it's time to talk about the C++ as well as the Java code. So in the Java code, you can see that I have taken a dummy graph as always. I have initialized a dummy graph over here. So this is how you initialize dummy graphs. So you have the adjacency list ready. Right after that, I've written a function which checks for bipartiteness. In that function, I'm passing the adjacency list as well as the number of nodes, right? It's gonna check if it is bipartite, and it's going to print yes if it is, and no if it is not, right? So let's go to that function. So let's check bipartite function. In this function, I'm taking the adjacency list as well as the number of nodes, correct? Right after that, what I'm doing is I'm taking the color array. I'm making the color array of size n. Over here, I've considered a zero-based indexing graph. So I've taken a color array, right? And I made sure that everything is initialized with -1. Now, what you know is, in order to check for components, this is how you iterate for components. If you remember the previous videos, this is how you iterate for components. And if it is not colored, if any of the nodes is not colored, I can say that node has not been visited. Something similar to visited array. And if that node has not been visited, I call the DFS check. Yes, I call the DFS check. And if that DFS check returns a false, and if that DFS check returns a false, I will return a false. What it means is, if out of all the components, any of the component returns false, that means the entire graph is non-bipartite, right? But if after traversing for all these guys, I never got a false, I can return a true, saying that this graph is entirely bipartite because none of the components came out to be false. Okay, now let's check for DFS check. How does DFS check look like? Very simple. If the node has not been colored, if you're coming across for the first time, the node will obviously not be colored. So let's color that with 1. Right after that, I'm going to traverse for all its adjacent node, right? Right after that, I'm going to traverse for all its adjacent node. So for the first time, if just in case the adjacent node is not colored, so I now have to color it with exactly the opposite color of what the node has been colored. So I just do color of it equal to 1 minus color of node, because 1 minus 1 is 0 and 1 minus 0 is 1. So 1 minus something where it is 0 and 1 will give you the opposite. That's why. Now after this, what I do is I call the DFS check, right? Again, I am going to call the DFS check. And if you remember the explanation, if any of the DFS checks for any of the adjacent node returns a false, that means the graph is not bipartite. So I'm going to return a false. But what if the adjacent node is already colored? Like it's already one of the nodes which is colored. So you just need to check if that color is equivalent to the current color, right? For the first example, remember? And if it is so, you can return a false. You know, if any of the DFS returns a false, it's going to return a false. So if anytime you get two adjacent nodes having same color, you can return a false. And if none of the adjacent nodes for the node did not get a false, did not return a false, you're definitely going to return a true, right? So this is how the DFS check will work for a single component, and this is how you can write it for multiple components. I hope you understand this. So this will be it for the Java code. Now let's talk about the C++ code. Now as usual, I've taken the graph input over here. After that, I've written a function check bipartite, and I've passed on the adjacency list as well as the number of nodes in order to check if it's a bipartite or if it is not. That are the two conditions that I've given. If it is a bipartite, yes, or else no. Now let's check out the check bipartite function. Now you know that we will be requiring a color array. So what I've done is I've made sure that it is initialized to -1 completely. Memset is an STL function which will do that for me. Right after that, I know a graph can have multiple components, right? So this is how you check for multiple components. Remember the cycle check class. So in that video, I've told you have to traverse from I equal to 0 till I lesser than n, and if it is not visited, so I can say if it is not colored, that is equivalent to saying not visited. So if it is not visited or not colored, that means it has not been visited. So I call the bipartite DFS, right? I call the bipartite DFS check with the node, with the adjacent, and with the color array. And if that check in the component returns a false, right? If that returns a false, I'm going to return a false, saying that this component did not satisfy the property of bipartite. But if all the components do satisfy the property of bipartite, I'm going to return a true. So this is a very simple thing. So let's check out how does the bipartite DFS works for a single component. So as you see, if it's the first time you're calling with the node and that's not colored. -1 means not colored. I'm going to color it with 1. You can take it as 0. That is absolutely your wish. First time what you're coloring doesn't matter. After that, I'm going to traverse for all its adjacent nodes, right? Let's traverse for all its adjacent nodes. We check if the adjacent node has not been colored, right? If the adjacent node has not been colored, let's color it with the exact opposite color. 1 minus something which is either 0 or 1 will always give you opposite. 1 minus something. That's basically negation. Negation of 1 and 0. So you'll get the color of adjacent node IT as 1 minus something, right? Once you have done this, you know you have to call the DFS. Now when you call the DFS, since it's a Boolean function, if this Boolean function returns a false, you know the entire graph is not bipartite. If you remember, if any of the adjacent nodes DFS call returns a false, it means it's completely false, right? That is what I've written. If any of the IT on call returns a false, I'm going to return a false. Very simple, very simple. But what if this if is false? That means the adjacent node has been colored. So I just need to check if that color is equivalent to my color. The adjacent node has equivalent color of what I have. That means I have divided the property of bipartiteness, and I can definitely return a false because I know the adjacent node should have opposite colors. But if it has same, that means the property has been made void, right? So if after traversing for all adjacent nodes, the false never comes up, I know I have to return true, saying that this is definitely true. I am not violating the property of bipartite check. So this is how the single component check will work, and you can check for multiple components and then return a true. So guys, this will be it for the C++ code. So I hope you have understood the entire explanation as well as the code. Just in case you did, please make sure you like this video, and if you're new to our channel, do consider subscribing to our channel. With this, I'll be wrapping up this video. Let's meet in the next video.
Whenever your heart is broken